Yo, what's up, burners? This is WeedMan 420 with the WeedMan 420 Chronicles. What's going on? We got Mr. G over there ripping the Rick and Morty bong, a special guest, and we got JKush over here gonna rip the Rick and Morty bong. Two special guests here on the show right now. Got to give a little shout out to my boy T, the technician. His grandma passed away. Much love to you, T. And Dov Boy right now, he's on a little hiatus for a while here. He's gonna be doing some back alley deals, so we gotta wait for him to come back in some times. You know how you guys all know Dov Boy with those back alley deals. We'll miss you, Dov Boy, but come back soon. We love you. I'm gonna rip this Rick and Morty bong all hail real quick, and then we'll introduce our two special guests. Oh yeah, that was a good one, man. So we got two special guests here. I'm gonna ask them a quick question before we get started. To anybody who comes on the show, we'll always get asked this. Mr. G, you smoke weed because?
I like it.
That's a great answer.
Boils down to it. There's lots of reasons, but that's the one.
That is a great answer. That's probably my favorite answer so far, and anybody who I asked that question to. JKush, you smoke weed because?
I like the pain relief.
Pain relief. That's a good one. That's the one we seem to get a lot of.
That's one of mine too. That was the one that I almost said before I said because I like
mine
it.
was back injury. I know you said you've had a back injury. JKush, what's up with you?
My left wrist.
Left wrist?
Yeah.
Spanking it too much, I guess, you know?
A lot of soccer back in my day. But, you know.
Did you play goalie?
Yes.
There you go. That's the reason why. So actually, I like this. We're gonna smoke some. We're smoking some Apple Rock Candy by Cresco right now, out of the Rick and Morty bong. Like I talked about in the last episode, the new packaging is pretty dope. It's all glass now instead of plastic. I like their labeling, the terpenes that the flavors that you're supposed to be getting in there. And this one has A-pinene, which is piney and herbal, and little micrine, which is a little clove and herbally. It's about 18%. THCA 17.36 and THC is 1.29 with a grand total of 18.66%. Pretty good though. Pretty good taste. What'd you think of that little taste you just had?
I dug it.
Yeah.
I dug it.
Nice.
I felt that 18%.
Yeah. What about you?
Solid rip.
Yeah, it's really nice.
Yeah,
Tasted good.
I
We'll
like
see how it feels. We'll probably be baked here in a few minutes, and probably hit it 3 or 4 more times before the show's done. But I will let you know how it feels as soon as it kicks in. But I do like the taste of it. It is piney and herbal, like it says on there. But you know, we're going to be talking about this show a little bit. What I'm going to call it, goodwill hunting, and what I've been learning and what we always talked about on the show. We're here to learn and to help you learn. Something I didn't know about that growers did a lot, and they call it pheno hunting for the phenos, hunting for the new strains. And the thing that we've seen in this shift with consumers is, and they're asking a lot of questions nowadays. Both of you guys have your medical cards, right? Actually, I helped you guys and told you where to go get your medical cards at, as WeedMan does. But asking questions about products that you guys are smoking now, and before it became legalized in Illinois, or actually anywhere, I mean, when I grew up in Florida and New York, we never asked what kind of strain it was, unless we heard a name that someone threw out to us. But it was just, hey, smoke this. I got some cannabis for you. Good. It was whatever. Fucking at the time it was like $250 an ounce or $400 an ounce back when I was buying it, when fucking people were not growing it as much. It was hard to get. But now, you know, nowadays, like, let me ask you something, JKush. When you got some weed from your buddy, did you ask him what it was? I'm talking about when you first started, maybe back like out of high school, like college days. Did you ever ask what the strain was or what the THC level was, or someone just threw you a bag of weed and you just smoked it? What was your thing?
Pretty much just smoked it, but if it was good, it always would be labeled as Kush, and if it wasn't, it was always kind of like mids. But yeah, everything back in the day was always Kush if it was good.
Right.
Yeah, it was more of a price thing. There was like 2040s and 3060s and 4080s, and then like when you got, and once in a while you'd run into I guess a named strain. I remember Northern Lights.
Yeah, that was my
in high
first.
school.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Jack Herrera. And then there was a couple guys that were just local dudes who their stuff was kind of named after them too. I won't name the strain, but
You're like Dot Boy, little back alley deals going. I like it. Got a new back alley dude. Yeah, I remember like White Rhino.
Yep.
Northern Lights. AK-47 was another first strain I tried like in the early 2000s, like 2000, 2001, 2002. You know, I had smoked some stuff back in the 90s that it made it in High Times called the Doctor Who's, but very rare did we get strain names. Most of it was like Mexican Regs. Oh, you knew what the fuck that was.
Right.
But, you know, but today, nowadays, like as you go into the dispensary, because all three of us go into the same dispensary, nowadays you guys are getting smart on what you're asking for. You're looking at threads towards verification, authenticity. Is it safe, especially now with the vape cartridges? Is this not having the vitamin E acetate in there? Is it lab tested? Is it showing the phenols and all that kind of stuff that you guys want to know about? That's what I ask for now. It's not just about sativa and indica like we've talked about in past episodes. It's getting bigger, and I mean you can now ask for what is the list of stuff that's in your cannabis. It's pretty dope, and I actually enjoy it. Kind of like the craft beer industry that I always refer to, because I've seen this back in the 90s and early 2000s and late 2000s. Brewers are looking for the creative hops to be able to make a bunch of different beers. Well, growers and cultivators are looking for that pheno. They're looking for that phenol. They're looking for that perfect strain, right? So when it comes to growing cannabis, a plant's phenotype is important because it determines the strain's taste, effectiveness, look, and more. Simply put, phenotype is the word used to successfully identify a plant inherits traits. Every strain has two parent plants, a male and a female, and they get hooked up and they go wah, 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 wah. They get a little something going on a Saturday night, and then what they produce is what we like to call seeds. Right? Yep. And those seeds are what these growers are looking for. Specific types, specific genetics. They're looking for the kind of plants and traits to be able to see their beautification of a plant come out, and they want preferred characteristics based on those genetics that they're getting. So that's new to me. I never knew this. Did you guys know this? Something I've learned in the last couple
I'd
weeks.
imagine I knew it, but I never... Like, I knew people got super nerdy with weed growing way back in the day, because I might have known some people that grew some weed before it was legal in Illinois. But it was all redneck stuff, too. It was a lot of guys that would just give you these redneck, like, what you just said, all those scientific words, but just redneck them up, where it's like, man, take this one, cut a little slice off it, put it in with this one. You got to pee around it so the deer don't eat it.
It's true. It's so good.
I knew one guy that would wrestle. He would beat the shit out of his plants, which is the thing. Like, you want to make them hardy, but he'd be like, man, I'll just go out there, man, kick the fucking shit out of them. And them plants you break the stems and all that, man, they grow up way stronger.
Damn, that's pretty good. So you knew some people that grew back in the day. That's pretty dope.
They weren't scientists.
Hey, if you can grow and you know how to grow, not everyone's a scientist, you know. So, how to find phenotypes. Look at your plants from a distance, because right now, before I go into the technical stuff, I've been reading a lot of stuff online. I've been talking to a lot of people that if you have your Illinois medical card, you can grow up to 5 plants. And there's a lot of people now that want seeds, and I see it. I just hooked up on this new app. I'll let you guys know about it later. I don't want to plug them or anything like that, but I'll let you guys know because there's a lot of growers on this app that are talking about seeds. They're talking about phenotypes. They're talking about everything that if you want to grow in your own home should know. So that's what's kind of cool. So I'm gonna give you guys some hints here and some help here on phenotypes. So when you guys are seed hunting and you're pheno hunting and looking for the right seed that you want to just grow that one strain, or you want to make your own hybrid, or you want to go further and just make an indica, this is going to hopefully help you. Look at your plants from a distance and see what stands out most and has more of a presence than others. Then inspect each cannabis plant closely. Look at the seeds, compare each other, getting hands dirty. Look at the leaves and stems. Look at the trichome production. Look at the color and patterns. You can be quite rough with plants. Like as Mr. G said, he had a guy that used to beat the shit out of his plants. Handle them a little bit better. Look at the stems, reach out, grab, touch, feel, smell. Check the roots on a regular basis to check the plants are rooting more profusely. That word, man, just screws me up when I'm baked. And which have a stronger root ball. Some plants that look great up top may have a small root ball. You know what a root ball is? Anybody? It's like that big white roots down at the bottom. When people sometimes pull it out, you could see it, especially when they're doing hydro and they're looking at the roots. They get those big. I just saw one on that new app. This root ball was fucking ginormous, and it was all white. And I guess you want to look for that white stems when you're growing. Smell the plant by rubbing your fingers around the stems and undersides of the leaves. Cannabis plants gives off most aroma and scent in the early stage, which usually be the loudest one in the room by flowering time. Once you have buds growing, fill them, find out for sure which individual cannabis plant has the best smell. Interesting differences can usually be seen at the best during flowering, so this is the part where you may find something new. Take clones from your plant and number them accordingly. We'll go into that in a minute. This allows you to take notes and make notes of the selection that comes, and you'll know exactly what clone corresponds with the final phenotype. Another tip that I got from reading is probably the most important one. Select your strongest and most aromatic cannabis plant if you plan on keeping phenotypes around. Yield can always be worked on with growing techniques or breeding, but it is very difficult to recreate a specific flavor or aroma. When you have a cannabis plant with unique flavors that internet forums go crazy, you will know your selection and process has paid off. So, that being said about phenotypes, there's tons and tons of stuff on the web about phenotypes and what to look for. I think we were talking about this JKush the other day when I mentioned this to you, and you thought it was pretty interesting. There's phenotypes versus genotypes. There's development of phenotypes. This is all the stuff if you're going to grow in your own house now, all of you Illinois card holders that want to grow your 5 plants, which I think you should. So because what I'm seeing out in the market, there's not enough weed right now. And some of the cannabis I've been seeing has been pretty fucking weak. Some of the stuff people are posting shit online like crazy. They're pissed off about the buds they're getting being either too dry, being too small.
For sure.
I don't mind a dry weed though if it smokes well, but if it's seriously too dry, I mean,
It's harsh.
yeah, it's harsh to smoke. You got to put a lot of ice in your bong, especially if we're big bong smokers. I mean, a joint's it's harsh too. In a pipe, it won't be so bad, but I mean, you just got to look for the right stuff. And I think people are pissed off right now. You see it. A lot of fucking medical people are not happy. So grow yourself. Look at phenotypes. Get with yourself with a good grower. Let me just go into one thing here that I found really interesting on a website here about growing and about how they get to that perfect phenotype. And the one thing I was looking at here was JKush. Now we have JKush just sitting next to me here, and but this was talking about JKush, and it was talking about how the strain developed and how a grower developed. I gotta look for it though real quick here. I think I found it on Leafly. Give me 1 second here, folks. Yeah, here it is. All right, so they were talking a little bit about JKush and selecting a cannabis phenotype. So basically, a grower or you're growing yourself will have 10 or 20 original clones or seeds, and you can basically number from OG or like JKush has his own new strain now, can start growing and label 10 things. He made a hybrid and called it JKush, and he put 10 of these phenotypes together, clones, and then he finds which out of those 10 are the best to get the first generation. So he takes the 4 top. Let's say he went from OG, or let's say JK01 to JK010, and he moved 4 of them down that had the best looking, best smell, strength, all that stuff when you're looking to grow. And he made the first generation of clones, and he called JK4, JK5, JK7, JK9 were the best out of those 10. Then he did a second generation of clones, and he found 2 that were actually even better than those 4 that he first picked. And he's got a JK5 and a JK9, and then he's got the final one. After those 2 grow a little bit, and he thinks this clone is the best one. We call it JK number 5. You create your own strain, JKush. Get your own phenotype, your own plant. After you grew 10, you got to your one that was the best. What do you think about that? I think you're baked, but that's just me.
Yeah, that's some good stuff for sure. Yeah, that's hopefully down the road. Definitely have some passion with growing, and something now that I have my card can legally do. So after reading this,
even if you don't have your card, it's only a $200 fine if you get popped. Just so you know.
Wow. Okay, that's not
just
bad.
So you know,
That's not bad.
Not bad at all. That's Illinois though. I don't know about anywhere else,
Right.
but There's another part I thought was really interesting on. Yeah, I just showed you guys a strain, that forbidden root. What do you guys think of that purple?
Beautiful.
Unbelievable. We all like to see purple in our bud, right? I mean, it's just something special when you get a strain that has some purple leaves, purple nugs. I gave you some of that ice cream cake that had a lot of purple in it too, JKush, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, every time you get a purple strain, you get excited about it. That forbidden root that I'm smoking right now is purpley. This apple rock candy, I don't know if I guys showed you that nug. That you got a strain of this yesterday too. It's got some purple in it too.
Definitely does.
Take a look at that, Mr. G. It's got some nice purple in it. But how do we get purple strains? Let me give you an example here, a quick example. It's going to be real quick here. I'm not a scientist and I'm not a fucking grower yet. Let's examine a cannabis-related example to get you a better idea. You purchase seeds from a reputable breeder. You intend to grow a purple strain. Instead of growing all plants in your indoor grow tent, you decide on moving half of your plants outdoors. I like outdoor. I've grown indoor back when I lived in Florida. I grew indoor in some houses and stuff like that. Totally illegal. It's okay. I'm out of that now. I'm good. I'm good. That was 20 plus years ago. So, but being said is I've always felt outdoor looks so much prettier because you can get like 12-foot high plants now that can grow like, I mean, I've seen some of the stuff they're doing in fucking California. It's just insane. Yep. But, I mean, indoor is indoor. You'll get some good hydro. You can consistently grow it all the time. But if you decide on moving your plants outdoors, the fact is no plant seems to be identical to one another. You'll notice that the plants in your outdoor garden are much richer in purple colors compared to the ones in your indoor grow tent. Although the genotypes carry the information to produce purple hues, it's the environment. It's a particular case. It's the temperature of the environment. They allow the two different physical expressions, phenotypes, from seemingly the same genetic code. So, that's a little scientific for us burners here, or for you stoners out there, if you guys are into that stuff. But just think about that when you're trying to grow specific strains. Are you growing indoor, are you growing outdoor? What kind of temperature you have and all that. I'm just trying to help you guys understand that it's technical and science to grow. It's not going to be as easy as everyone thinks. Have you ever grown before, Mr. G?
It can be, yeah. I think there's ways to do it as easy as everyone thinks, which is you just do it, and you're not thinking about phenotypes and whatever. You're just looking at what happens and going like, this one's purple. Because I did a little bit of, a good friend of mine did a little bit of indoor growing, so I saw that process, kind of helped him out. I got kicked out of a town for that, actually. He got popped, and I got kind of run out on the rails. I wrote a song about it too. It's in the repertoire. Right. But one thing we used to do, and this is a thing that's just everywhere outside of Chicago, obviously, because there's land, is you just take a couple seeds and you just kind of toss them into a random tree line somewhere, and once in a while something starts growing, and if no one's paying attention, you just go out there and you kind of keep an eye on it, and we would do that all the time. And then maybe come harvest season, if you were on top of it, rip the males out as soon as you could, so you didn't have seedy females and stuff like that, and stayed on top of it. Nobody mowed them, nobody found them and plucked them. You might have 4 or 5 little plants scared around the outskirts of town. And I know some farmers that do the same thing. A lot of farmers, what you'd think would be like the real conservative guys that are, straight-laced and whatever, they're fucking growing tons of weed just for themselves,
Hey, if they want to grow it, I think they should. And you've always heard me say free the plant. I think you should be able to grow it if you want.
But I think you can grow it pretty simply if you're not, like, in the science realm. What I think is really cool now is that you can think this way. Like, the information's there. The more the stigma comes off of it and there's real science and it's not just illegal grows, like there are reasons and people who are getting paid legitimate money to figure this stuff out. I think it's going to keep growing and growing and growing until you are able to nail that perfect strain for back pain, wrist pain, anxiety, creativity, all that stuff. I think we're getting closer and closer, and I think that's the really cool thing that's going on, just period. In legalization overall.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. I mean, I think it's just some people are going to do it because the fun of it.
Right.
They don't really care about the science of it. They're able to grow. They want to just...
Well, flavor
say they want to grow in their
smell
house
is
or
cool too.
Yeah, they just want to grow, and if they get a couple ounces, they're going to be happy with it. And then you're going to have the people who are going to get real, like your home brewers. They're going to get real
dorky.
big,
Yeah,
real dorky with it. And you're going to be talking to people in 6 months, a year from now, who has a little grow spot, a little fucking tent in their house, growing 5 plants because that's what you can grow. They're growing 3 plants or 2 plants, but they're saying, I got this fucking strain I created. I hybrided it out. I took fucking Purple Punch and Gorilla Glue and called it Purple Gorilla. I don't know, but they're going to have fun doing it. They're going to get real technical. They're going to talk to you about, and all of a sudden you're going to get lost in about 5 minutes of their conversation because I've talked to many homebrewers before and I get lost within like 10 to 15 minutes.
No, you can't talk to those
So
people.
it's going to be exactly like that. And don't get me wrong, I've had some good homebrew. I've had some real bad homebrew, but I've had some good homebrew, and I'm going to probably have some really good cannabis from some friends that are growing because you're going to see people in about 90 days from now who just started growing or maybe took it a little early and started growing like November and has their plants coming out in February that are going to be like, dude, you got to try this strain I just grew. And you're going to see people in the medical community that has their card that are going to be going over your house with an ounce of weed going, let's fucking smoke. I got an ounce of fucking free weed because it's free. And people are going to get doped. They're going to get excited. And I'm jacked up because that Apple Rock candy is the shit. And I just took my second rip. But I tell you what, that is what the most exciting part about people being able to grow their own fucking flower is. There are going to be some parties the summertime because you could smoke on your own property. You could smoke bomb rigs outside as long as it's your own property. You're going to see clouds coming from WeedMan's fucking backyard like you did last summer, but now people can't tell me to stop. So I'm excited about growing. I'm excited about Mr. G or JKush coming over with a bag they just grew and being all fucking psyched and maybe making some edibles out of it, going, this is a fucking huge taste. It's got a nice fucking, like, let's just say, maybe they mixed it with some fucking honey from some bees and shit, and that flew over and fucking came over and pollinated their fucking thing from, they were at some wild berry. Now you got some fucking strain you never heard of, but it's purple and it's berry flavored.
Yeah. No, I think summer's gonna be. I think this summer's gonna get weird, man.
I think it's gonna be great. I can't wait for my fucking July 3rd party I always throw every year because it's fucking the Evergreen Park fucking parade is gonna be dope this year. When you see not firework clouds, you're gonna see fucking weed clouds coming.
Well,
from
that's
the
hilarious.
backyard.
So yeah, I'm thinking about July right now, and I'm thinking about the Indiana border, and it used to just be the one-way traffic of fireworks coming into Illinois, and now it's gonna be.
Oh, who's coming in?
It's gonna be who's coming in and who's coming
getting
out.
Fireworks. Who's getting cannabis?
Let's hope the cops
high fiving along the way.
leave that alone.
That's a good one though. That's a good thought. That's fucking gonna be funny. We should just film it and see who's coming in. Who's got Indiana plates coming into Illinois and who's got Illinois plates coming out of Indiana from fireworks. Man, that's fucking dope. That strain's pretty fucking good. I'm pretty lit right now. What are you guys thinking of this Trump budget proposing ending state medical marijuana protection, and they blocked DC from legalizing it? Okay, I've watched some shows about DC before I go into what Trump's doing for 2021, but I've been into DC. You cannot legally sell cannabis. You can give people cannabis up to 2 ounces, I think it is, in DC. You can't sell it. But what I saw people doing in DC or heard of people doing in DC, they were selling you a T-shirt for $50 and putting a fucking bag of cannabis in the T-shirt.
Yeah, that's an old.
Or given a donation.
Yes, or donation, yes.
Yep.
Well, that was an old cocaine trick at bars. Was like they have that one special cocktail that was $60.
The old cocaine cocktail.
Yeah.
Well,
but no, I mean, yeah, people are gonna be creative and find their way around the rules.
It's been legal in DC
How it
for a
works.
little bit now, so I mean, I don't understand why they just don't legalize it and let the fucking city make some money off of it. It's some tax revenue and stuff. There's a lot of poor people in fucking DC.
Yeah,
and they could
DC's
use some of this tax revenue. So I mean, I think it's. I just don't fucking understand it. You just rather just people give it away and not making. You're not making any tax revenue on it. You're just a fucking free for all. So that person selling it for $50 is not paying taxes on it to help school system, to help fucking taxes, education, whatever. I don't know. I don't care. But at least fucking make it legalized, open up dispensaries and fucking make tax revenue and let it go thoroughly legal, not getting some. There's people setting up their own grow shops throughout DC.
Right.
Underground shit. And you're just going to let people keep on doing it. You know? The thing about Trump, you know, it's for the 2021 budget that I was reading on this too. So he's not even president in 2021. So they're not doing anything for 2020. It's still the same. Let the states handle their shit now. 2021, it's on the proposal for the next for the next year. So it's not even going to hurt 2020. People were freaking out about this, going, the Fed's going to come into our states and close down our fucking weed shops and stuff. No, they're not going to do it. They can do it regardless because it's still not federally fucking legal yet. So regardless whether it's on the docket for Trump to say yes or no for 2021, it doesn't really fucking matter because it's still a Schedule 1 drug, even though Obama said let the states handle it. Trump did too the first 3.5 years, whatever. But it's still a fucking federally illegal drug. Rec 1, they could still come in at anywhere state and shut it down anytime they want.
Right.
Until we get it off that Schedule 1, it's going to be like this for a while until it goes federally legal, which comes up to my next point is, does cannabis have a shot of being federally legalized?
And not with this guy.
Don't think president.
Okay.
It's not only about the president, it's also about the House and the Senate.
Right.
So think about it as that also. Think about it as the whole collective. You can't just put one person in charge of it because it's not. Like I said in the last episode, Illinois has a pot czar. She makes $220,000 a year.
That's nice.
Yeah, I want to be the pot czar, like I said in the last episode.
You're doing all right. You're getting there. I'd hire you.
Suggesting to you is look at it. If all the states finally make it decriminalized, and then go into making it at least medical, and federally you're still getting tax money from that because the states still have to pay taxes to the federally. Right now they're getting $2 billion a year from all the states that are medical and recreational. They're getting $2 billion a year. They're going to want their money. So eventually you're going to have to fucking say, we need to fucking legalize this. Regardless, Senate, House, committees, president are all going to have to come together and say, because the next one I'm going to talk about is how much the states are bringing in sales-wise. So it's no fucking joke. It's not a fucking joke how much money, tax revenue that still losing because of black market. People are going to be growing it themselves, which I'm all for that. If you heard me say in past episodes. But they need to fucking please just legalize it or get it off to Schedule 1. Get it off Schedule 1. Just do that, federal government. If you just do that, you get off federal run, you are going to fucking see it take off like gang fire.
Yep. The only thing I can think when it comes to anything like that where you can't see a downside, it's just political bullshit. You know what I mean? There's lobbyists who are pushing to have it not legalized, and they'll keep doing that until public pressure outweighs that, maybe, hopefully. I feel like it does already. Yeah, doesn't it? I mean, nobody cares. Like, there's maybe in the Bible Belt, the real hardcore folks care.
You're gonna see a couple states here coming along here.
I know.
We'll talk about it in a minute.
But I'm saying, like, I can see there's not that much of a moral argument against it unless you're morally against like everything,
right?
From caffeine on down the line. So yeah, I just feel like the system itself has to.
Here's something I read in this High Times article. They were saying, despite any political fighting, the public demands action. If all prove positive for the cannabis community, over 40 states could pass some form of legalization come election night 2020. Several candidates have already laid out plans for executive orders and policy agenda. In recently leaked video, President Trump could be heard saying cannabis banking was working out, despite spouting tired anti-cannabis health claims. I mean, every candidate in the Democratic Party right now. I mean, you see Joe Biden. We were making fun of him a few episodes ago. He was talking about cannabis like being bad for you, and we just called him a boomer and ate him up. So now he's changed his stance on it. Bernie's from last time he was running said, "I'm going to make cannabis legal." You have Elizabeth Warren now, who just put a whole entire plan out. You have Trump, who said at one point he would legalize it, or he would just let let the states just run it themselves, which they should. Just let the fucking states pay the fucking man, pay Caesar what he's fucking worth, and that's the U.S. government, federal government, and the states just let them keep on doing it. Then, if you don't want anything a part of it, just get it off the Schedule 1 fucking docket and put it at like Schedule 5. Fucking lift up opioids on fucking Schedule 1. Right. That's fucking more people up right now than anything else. Anyway, I just think whoever is the next president, it still has to get passed by the House. Everyone has to kind of come together and has to do this. It's just not going to be one person. You can have the greatest plan since sliced fucking bread, but if nobody comes together and joins this together as one, meaning the House, the fucking Senate, Republicans, Democrat, whoever's in president, if they all don't come together and put this bill, it's never going to pass. It has to get passed by everybody.
Right.
So everybody has to shake hands, go smoke a fucking bowl together and get this fucking shit rolling. Or smoke a fucking bong or fucking start whatever. So, but that being said, I'm going to talk about why this is so important. Because I talked about in the last episode how much Illinois did in recreational its first month in January, which was $40 million. And medical pot sales in Illinois topped 23 million in January. So you had rec that did 40 million. All you fucking animals out there just smoking, eating, and fucking
standing in line,
just going crazy. Medical, for the first time, reached over 100,000 medical card holders, which is fucking phenomenal. They finally opened it up, to let some people get their cards, and you two are part of that 100,000.
Yeah, it took 2 days, I think, for me. And I read a lot about how people were like, it's been 3 years and I haven't even heard back, and I can't ask anyone what's going on with my application. Like, people just had nightmare stories online. So after I applied, I was like, ah. And then, like, 2 days later, I got a provisional card in the mail. I was like, oh, sick. Nice.
Remember you and I talked about that,
yeah,
and you were stoked.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I was super stoked.
I mean, same thing with you, Jonathan, JK. JKush, I mean, just, you got your card, and how smooth was it? You've now been a card holder for about a month now, right?
Yeah, a month. It was a lot easier process than I thought it would be, and glad to have it. Very glad.
Nice. The strong showing came from hordes of recreational pot users flocked to dispensaries for the first taste of legal weed. Despite a preserved supply of shortage that took hold in the wake of recreational legalization, 55 licensed dispensaries made $62.6 million in total sales last month, according to the Illinois Department of Financial and Professional Regulation. That included nearly $40 million in recreational weed sales, like I just said. Of the $23.4 million in medical pot sales in January, $9.8 million was spent on dried cannabis flower. Woo-woo! Still rules here in Illinois.
Yep.
Little flower, baby. Everybody likes their flower. It's been really short for people on the recreational side. Really short, but I've been getting my supply, and I've been real happy. Get your medical card and learn how to grow. That's what I keep on saying. No one wants to listen. Of the $23.4 million in medical pot sales in January, $9.8 million was spent on dried cannabis flower, which remained in short supply across the state. Imagine if they were fully fucking hooked up, how much more we would have sold.
Dude.
It'd be mind-blowing.
Unbelievable.
I mean,
the demand is there.
Yeah, I didn't, our dispensary essentially ran out before January 1st. They were already super low. And I didn't want to bother with any of those lines or go anywhere near the place for the first few days, so I sort of stayed away for a month. And still, it's rough.
Yeah, it's rough. It is, but at least some of the stuff I've been getting is quality.
Yeah.
I do have to admit that the stuff I've been smoking has been really good.
Yep.
The last 6 strains I've smoked from is it the strains I've been really looking for? No, but the bud tenders have been real suggestive selling, which has been good. They've been really going through what they know my style, what I like. I'm an indica guy. This is an indica podcast. I like the mellow, low sativas when I'm out, shows, concerts, all that kind of stuff. But 80% of when I smoke is at home, and I want an indica. I want to relax. I want no back pain. I want to be able to lay couch locked, watch a movie with Mrs. WeedMan, chill out, have some good time. But I am an indica guy, and the last few strains have been hybrid indicas and a couple straight up indicas, but it's supposed to been high. I mean, I picked up this fucking strain. I haven't even smoked it yet. It's called Sunshine OG. It's a reserve flower by Verano. And what I'm fucking freaked out about is, and I was going to smoke it probably tonight just to try it out. It's fucking 38% fucking THC. Are you fucking kidding me? Are you trying to give people morphine or something? Are you trying to kill me here? Fucking Verano? I mean, my bud tender lit me up. She goes, you really need to try this. I said, yeah, but I got the Four Kings by Rev. I picked up that Cresco, which is a sativa hybrid for the show. The Apple Rock, and then I picked up, and then she sold me on this. She goes, listen, we don't have a lot left, but she goes, do you want it? I'm like, well, what is it? She goes, it's indica hybrid. I know how much you like indicas. It's 38%. I said, damn, what are you trying to do to fucking people? Kill me over here? I mean, I've smoked 30, probably 32, I think is the highest so far. She said 3 hits and this rocks her. I said, well, you're a fucking burner all day long.
3 hits, I'd be in the hospital.
Yeah, that's what I was saying to her too.
I'd be one of those people with the viral video of my 911 call. Like, I don't remember how to breathe. Can you help?
Well,
Can you tell me?
I've showed you this, and I'll probably give you each like a part of a nug to take home with you. Then you guys can text me.
Yeah, we kill ourselves at home. Thanks.
Yeah, so you can tell me how good you guys are if you're calling me going, damn you, WeedMan, damn you
I
to
called
hell. So, but that was some dope-ass news that's going on in Illinois medical. Here's something even crazier, and why the federal government is just stupid for not getting and making this fully recreational and fully legalized. Cannabis sales top 1.75 billion in Colorado. Fucking unheard of. 1.75 billion since they've been going, and they generated 302.4 million in tax revenue. Unbelievable. Unfucking real. 1.7 not million, billion fucking dollars. That Colorado, I mean, there was like 10,000 people moving in there in that state a month, I heard.
Right.
I don't know if it's still like that or not, since more and more states are going fully rec or medical. But, I mean, the sales represents a 13% increase from 2018. 13 fucking percent since 2018. That's fucking huge. That's 2.5% year over year from 2017 to 2018, according to the State Department of Revenue figures. Good for you, fucking Colorado.
Yep.
Good for you, fucking burners out there. Good for you making it rec and medical and making sure patients get their stuff, because there's a lot of families that went out there because their kids, it was the only state that can get jobs, get housing right now is probably not as cheap as it was when they first moved there. But I will say this, it was the only state that people were able to get medicine for their kids who had seizures. That's why a lot of families went out there to move out there for their kids. They can get that Rick Simpson oil for the seizures, and it helps. So fuck you, it helps. I'm not a scientist or a doctor. I just read and watch and learn a lot, and I'm telling you it helps. Anyway, so good for you, Colorado. $1.75 fucking billion. Fucking ridiculous. Fucking ridiculous. Here's something fucking funny. Arizona, as much weed as your fucking state smokes, and I know some people in Arizona that smoke a lot of your fucking medical weed out there, how could you fucking want to pass a bill, an HCR 2045? It's a bill that would amend the Arizona Medical Marijuana Act. By breaking down and analyzing the bill proposes this: establishing the medical marijuana classification of transaction privileges, taxes, and levies when the levy breaks. You know? A tax of 5% of the tax base on that classification would also require the Department of Health Service to provide grants from monies in the medical marijuana fund. Okay, great. But here's the clincher. They want to lower all THC limit to 2%. How the fuck do you do that? That doesn't make any fucking sense to me.
That's ridiculous.
It doesn't make any fucking sense. To summarize HCR 2045, goal is to tax medical cannabis patients 5% for correlation between marijuana use and schizophrenia. I'm going to fucking get schizophrenia by fucking reading this article because it's so stupid. And between marijuana use and violent behavior, a completely gut the AMMA by, it sounds like mixed martial arts, by adding a 2% THC limit. Not an ordinary bill. Of course not. It's fucking stupid. How the fuck do you do that? Arizona, come on, man. I've eaten some edibles from you guys out there. I haven't smoked any flower from Arizona, but all the edibles I've gotten from fucking Arizona have been fucking fire. So why? And they've been like 10% to 20%, and all fucking dope. Why would you fuck with this? It just doesn't make any sense. It's just here. It's referring to propaganda. The title, Tell Your Children, is ironically not really the subtitle of the legendary anti-cannabis propaganda film Reefer Madness, which you've heard me talk in other episodes. The book's Tell Your Children is much like the 1930 movie, as both are biased against cannabis use. Fucking just doesn't make any fucking sense.
Dude, this picture of him is exactly what you think he looks like. Like, it's an old, crusty white dude. He was just like, the kids in their reefer.
Yeah, just fucking Arizona. Don't do or try to do what the state of Washington was doing with their concentrates, trying to get only 10% on that. Don't fuck it up. Don't fuck up by this stupid ass bill. We'll keep an eye on this bill and see if it passes or not. I just read this a week ago before the last episode, so I'll keep up on this with you fellow burners, unless you know how it goes out there, Arizona. Another one of my favorite states that I like to go to, or I should say cities, Louisville, but medical marijuana bill clears Kentucky's House panel and gains momentum heading to the House into a vote. Hell yeah. Go Louisville. Go Kentucky. Let's do it. Because I've smoked some fucking fire-ass cannabis out of Kentucky because they grow up there in those mountains because you can grow some fine-ass fucking cannabis out there and no one goes up in the mountains of Kentucky because those boys up there, like you talked about the farmers that you knew.
Yeah, man. Well, Southern Illinois and
Pretty
Kentucky
close.
are pretty damn close to one another.
Yeah,
and
so...
in sort of the land, sort of the way the land works and the way the redneck mind works.
Man, let me tell you something. I will tell you about
entrepreneurial spirit.
This flower I smoked from a friend of mine there. His brother grows it, and he calls it the tomato bud, and because he plants tomatoes around his 4 or 5 plants. So what happens there? They breed one another. A little bit of wind, a little bit of bees goes over to one plant and goes to the next one. So the tomato plant, I wouldn't say infects it. It mates with the cannabis plant and it produces this tomato tasting bud. It's very earthy. It does taste like a sweet, and he grows all different types of tomatoes, not just a beefsteak. He grows like the little guys, the big guys, the yellows, the purples, the reds, so you get, man, it fucking it tasted like I was fucking eating a tomato. It was actually pretty legit. I was pretty fucking impressed. It was very earthy, but it was fucking tomatoey too. It was pretty legit.
Wow.
So go Kentucky. Do this fucking thing, pass this bill so I can go to Louisville and smoke some fucking fresh flower because I'm tired of just smoking CBD when I go down there. West Virginia removes flower from medical cannabis bill? What's wrong with you, fucking West Virginia? Hey, Mr. G, we packed that fucking Rick and Morty bong again. I'll pass you the flower here so we can smoke a little bit more because I like it. I like it a lot. West Virginia lawmakers have advanced a medical cannabis bill from the Senate Judiciary Committee, but not before stripping down key components from the bill, including the right for patients to home grow and possess cannabis flower products. That I can understand the home growing. Some states are not quite there yet. But how can you not let people possess fucking flower? That's where the plant comes from. You want people to process the flower and the concentrates, which is fine. People like it. I like a good fucking dab every once in a while. A little dab will do anybody. But there's nothing better than fucking flower. And people want flower. Tree. Cannabis. They want it from the earth. That's where it comes from. It doesn't mean processing it or making edibles out of it. It's all fun. I like all that shit. But there's nothing better than fucking flower. Mr. G?
Agreed. And I sometimes wonder things like what would happen if they made the perfect cannabis pill. You know what I mean? And we're like, we'll legalize this, we'll make it easy, your insurance will pay for it, blah blah blah.
There is a
think
synthetic
that
pill they're making. It's
right.
synthetic though.
But I think that most of us would still, because there's something earthy and ritualistic and spiritual, maybe, is almost even this is an older substance than the science behind
10,000
it.
years old.
I mean,
People
yeah,
have been smoking
dude.
it for 10,000 years.
So, yeah, banning the source material is real dumb. That's just real dumb.
Yeah, I mean, I don't understand what you're thinking, West Virginia. You know,
I understand legalization is going to take a while for maybe all states, but it's crazy that not every state has it decriminalized. Like, that's what blows my mind.
Oh, the next one? What was the next article we were going to talk about here? No, we were talking about, that's Virginia. That hasn't decriminalized it yet. So both states back to back. One wants to not sell you flower, and Virginia finally approves cannabis. That like you said, JKush, not decriminalizing it in every state is just fucking stupid.
Don't they say that there's something with prison unions in a lot of places and things like that are really heavy lobbying against, because obviously they'd be having to let a lot of nonviolent people out of jail, and then the jails aren't full. That whole part of it. Part of it's just fucking crazy, dude.
That. And that's hard for me to even really want to talk about, go more into that in depth. But
right. Well, yeah, none of us are experts. We're just 3 stoners.
Burners. You are a burner. You want to know why, Mr. G?
Yes,
Because you get shit done.
That's true.
I know a lot of stoners. Nothing wrong. You like to be a stoner and be called that. I call us, and everybody who listens, burners. Because burners smoke all day, smoke all night, but they're able to get shit done. And that's why we have to try to get rid of the stigma of stoners, because everyone thinks stoners don't do anything. And it drives me nuts. Because I've been smoking cannabis since I was 13 years old. And I get shit done.
I've seen you get some stuff done.
I try to do my best, you know? So, but That's why you're a burner. That's why you're a burner. And that's why our 5,200 listeners across the globe are all I call you burners because you all get shit done. I follow you. You follow me. I see all what you're doing out there every day. We have over 5,200 listeners across the globe, 32 cities and 132 countries right now. Burners, baby. Thank you for listening every fucking day. If it wasn't for you, we wouldn't be doing this shit. So New Mexico's bid for recreational marijuana is all about doomed. Fucking idiots. What are you guys doing, man? New Mexico's bid to become the 12th U.S. state. Legalize. Well, see, that's why fucking, what was it, North Dakota or South Dakota is going to beat you, New Mexico, to it. They're going to be the 12th state because you abruptly fell flat after state senators in the legislature dominated by Democrats rejected a bill that would have forced permission. See, this is what I talked to you guys about earlier. It's not Democrats or Republicans. You can't, it's us. It's burners versus them.
Yep.
Because they don't give a fuck. It's what's going to go in their fucking pockets, whether you're Democrat or Republican. They're controlling whatever they want to control. As you see it here. It doesn't matter what party you were on. This is a fucking plant that we should be able to grow out of fucking Mother Earth. I've been saying it almost fucking every episode. Fuck you, New Mexico, for not making the fucking free in this fucking plant in your state. Next, I don't even want to talk about you guys right now.
Well, you would think that a state with such an affinity for hot air ballooning would be the first state to be full of burners. Like, what else are you going to do in a hot air balloon?
Great fucking thoughts there by Mr. G. We're going to have a segment on this show from now on called Burner Thoughts by Mr. G.
Patent pending.
Yeah, patent pending. I love it. So anyway, we're going to skip that. Skip you, New Mexico, because you fucked up, and we're going to go right to good old... See, this is where we're talking about the Southern Bible Belt. Alabama medical marijuana bill filed in Alabama State House. Good for you, Alabama. A bill to allow medical marijuana has officially been filed at the Alabama State House. The Senate Bill 154, titled the Compassion Act. Compassion Act! Ooh. Hell yeah! Love it. Would allow marijuana for treatment of 15 conditions. That's exactly how Illinois started. There was 13 when they started.
Oh, it was strict as hell,
Strict
dude.
as fuck, yeah. But it started. All's got... Thank you. JKush, thank you. Thank you for saying that.
Direction.
No, that's huge, dude. And again, same, like, nothing against either political side, but to see the pins falling in the hardest to reach places is really great.
It's pretty fucking cool to me.
It's really great.
The bill's a little long, though, 82 pages. I mean, how much more you got to fucking write? Just say yes for fucking done.
Just 2 check boxes, like a note you'd pass in school.
So this guy, Mark Coleman, I guess, is begging them to do it. All right, Mark, thanks. Good begging. Appreciate it. Coleman prays for state lawmakers to pass the bill. Got a guy praying. Great. His daughter, Marianne, has severe autism and seizure disorder. Pass that medical bill for his fucking daughter alone and call it her, whatever her name is. It should be the compassion bill, hashtag, subtitle it, his daughter's name.
Yep.
You know, there's nothing more emotional than seeing your child hurt yourself or suffer a seizure, Coleman said. She used the cannabis oil since the passage of Lenny's law, which allowed for its limited use. So there you go. That is that. I wonder if that's the name of his daughter, Lenny's law. That'd be dope if it was.
Yep.
And to know you're doing as much as you can do within the law, but there could be easier access and more potency, Coleman said. The Compassion Act would follow qualifying physicians to recommend medical cannabis for 15 conditions, including autism, cancer, and PTSD. Great starts. I fucking do it. It would allow forms including pills, oils, lozenges, and patches. It would not allow smoking or vaping. That happened in Florida. Florida was the same way. Florida at first though was just oils and edibles. They just started doing flour last year, I think. So they didn't let flour off the leash right away, which just doesn't make any fucking sense to me. But anyway. One of the biggest concerns when it comes to introducing a new form of impairment on the roadways is how we're going to keep our roadways safe. Listen, man, I know a lot of people that drive under the influence of alcohol, and they fucking scare me. I've driven with a lot of burners, and I've never once felt scared.
Sure.
But that's just me. Hamlet, you shouldn't do either one. Shouldn't drive under the influence other way if you're going to put people in harm. But if you're used to it and you've been doing it for a long time with cannabis, a lot of people can take a 2 milligram dose like I did yesterday. I microdosed a little. I needed it. My back was hurting while I was driving. It was 2 milligrams. It was like fucking nothing. But my back didn't hurt anymore. And it didn't have no psychoactive effect. I was able to drive. Learn how to dose if you're going to get behind a car. I simply feel we are moving in a direction that's going to have dire consequences for years to come, said Hammock. Once we start sending the message out to our students and young adults that it's okay to consume, that it's not as harmful as we once believed it was, then we're going to open the doors to them to have a relaxed, normal perception of this harmful product. This dude's a jerk off.
Nah, that quote, literally, dude, that quote sent me down like a brain wormhole where I'm like, that's the fucking problem with everything, dude. Because that affected me when I was young. I was a sports kid, like all that stuff. And, you know, I mean, we started drinking early on the south side of Chicago, and that was considered completely normal. But to hang out with the burners and the stoners, because a lot of those motherfuckers didn't do shit, but was an outsider thing to do. And then all of a sudden that path to like sports and sort of quote unquote normal life, windows and doors start shutting early just because of that.
Right.
Like you're not doing anything worse or necessarily different than the kids who are getting bombed all the time. But coach, you know, is like, yeah, it's all right, boys, have a couple pops on Friday, blah, blah, blah. But if you're a stoner, dude, you get like, you're an outsider.
Yeah, that's true.
And now I'm a musician, which is an outsider thing too. You know, it pushed me further into the arts, and it that definitely shaped my young life. And it's just weird. It just got me thinking about like stuff like that, like sort of the way we organize society. When we think about this as a harmful product, then to use it when you're young or whatever is to set yourself aside from other people. Whereas this dude's saying we don't want young people to have a relaxed, normal, he says normal attitude about it. So imagine if it's just totally, and maybe it is now, I don't know, I've been in high school or whatever for a long time, but imagine if it was just totally normal for coach on Thursday night to be like, I know you guys are going to have some pops and rips and bongs on Friday, but just make sure you're game ready Sunday. Like, it'll, you know?
I mean, they're allowing it now in the NBA.
Right.
Okay. They're allowing it. I just read an article. I'm not really going to talk about it in this episode, but the NFL is letting it go now. They're not going to look at it anymore, so which is kind of dope.
That's nice.
Yeah. So and for them, I think even more than basketball, football players need it. Baseball doesn't test for any fucking except for steroids now, and that's it. So I mean, you know, you could probably get a lot of those players off of a lot of shit.
Sure.
That they're taking that's legal, opioids, whatever, you know, versus now just taking because they need to sleep or play or feel better to be able to walk when they're done with their fucking
right.
Day.
Well, yeah, not necessarily just saying just the sports thing, but just the idea, like this dude said, I don't want young people to have a normal attitude about using this product.
Right.
And it's like, that is what you want.
Yeah.
Because a normal attitude about using something, then you have a perspective to put it into that's normal. Not like, I'm already an outsider, so I might as well
We've
just
always taught the bad.
Yeah.
We've always taught the bad in school, alcohol. We've always taught the bad. So we never taught kids how to, because you know kids are going to drink after school.
Right.
You know kids are going to smoke cannabis after school, or even when they're adults or whatever they like, or whatever they choose. Maybe they like both, whatever. But we've never taught it as a society. We've always taught the bad of alcohol and the bad of cannabis instead of teaching people how to correctly use alcohol. Right. And don't be afraid of it, because what do most kids gather to when they say you can't do this?
Oh yeah, we're gonna do this as hard as we can go. Yeah,
so
we got 4
this
kegs,
guy saying this. Teach your kids at home and at school. Teach them that hey, alcohol is legal, but you can either do it on a responsible basis. You're going to get fucked up. We all do. We all gotten fucked up on alcohol so bad that we end up putting our heads in a toilet bowl and puking all night. We've all been there. Mm-hmm. I've never had that happen to me with cannabis. Mm-hmm. Okay? Now, I've had it happen to me on cannabis when I mix too much alcohol with cannabis, where I get the head spins and I got to run. That has happened.
I've OD'd on edibles. That's a rough experience,
too. That is a rough experience.
You know?
I've OD'd on edibles, too, because no one has ever taught people the responsibility of, hey, this is a 50 milligram edible. If you're not used to taking 50 milligrams, start with 5, because you can always move forward. You can never go back. So this is the perception that these people in this article, this fucking douchebag, says normal perspective or a normal perception. Well, are you teaching people? It's not a harmful product. It's showing and been seen to show to help people. okay, on all these ailments that your 15 conditions they're supposed to be helping. Are we teaching people how to help? Why cannabis helps? Listen, people are going to drink alcohol. People are going to smoke dope. People are going to shoot heroin. People are going to fucking do what they want to do. It's their own choice to do anything they want to do. Are you teaching people the right way? The responsibility of what's good about it, what's bad about it, and everything in between. We're not doing that.
Right, and this guy's mad that we're thinking about doing it.
Exactly.
It's annoying, dude.
Annoying.
It's annoying.
Well, hopefully they pass this bill. Hopefully they get flower part of it. Good for you, Alabama. Every state that I see that's moving forward in some sort and they vote, good for you. I hope you pass something. And because of this guy's daughter, I hope you pass it even faster. Anybody, I'm married. You guys, I've talked about Mrs. Weedman all the time. Mr. G? Married. JKush?
Nope. Single. Ready to mingle.
Ready to mingle. I love it. What do you do? Have you ever been with somebody, significant other, doesn't matter, that hates weed? What do you do? Like Mrs. Weedman at one point, we had very young kids, the perception, DARE programs at school, kind of like she didn't know about cannabis. I snuck and finally admitted to her showed her my 22-year-old one-hitter. That's in that tray right there. So, it was in my car, which probably most dads or moms who smoke probably keep it in their car with a hitter box. I did, and I would smoke a one-hitter before I came home to go to sleep. I had been doing it, and I admitted to her finally. I'm like, here's my one-hitter. It's old, crusty metal. Beat the fuck out of.
It's a good one.
22 years old. Old faithful. But, I wouldn't say my Mrs. Weedman hated cannabis, just wasn't educated on it. Now she loves it. She
Probably
makes some of
the bad side, like most people.
Yeah, of course, and it was never portrayed right. We were talking the mid 2000s, early 2000s, when our kids were young, and little Weed Man Jr. and little Weed Man, little Weed Girl. Just I get it. It's perception. Now I remember, smoking with Grandpa Weed Man, shit like that. But we hid it because kids and let them figure it out when they get older instead of being proactive. But let's face it, it's complicated. It's a fucking complicated situation. If the girl you want to start dating, or you're getting married and you smoke and she doesn't, or he smokes and whatever, it's a complicated fucking thing. And how do you have to explain that to them? What happens if, like, you dated or married a girl that didn't drink and you drank?
It's weird. It's immediately weird.
Right.
Maybe not. Depends on depends on people's attitude. My wife does not smoke. Maybe once every 3 years. She gets panicky.
Yeah.
And it gets stronger all the time. So like she never knows what she's about to get into.
38% strong.
Dude, yeah, right. I should be like, hey,
this is G.
Yeah,
I should take.
Try this.
I'll take that little pinch and I'll be like, hey, Weedman gave me this little thing. It's like 2%. You're totally gonna be chill on it. Like it's perfect for you. And then I'll just fucking film it.
Oh man.
But no, she's chill, and to say like she doesn't get on my case at all about it. Once in a while, if I do something dumb, where if it's like, I'm ripping bongs before, which I fucking definitely do before like people's families start coming over or whatever for Christmas and shit. And if I'm being a stoner, she'll tell me. If I'm being a burner, I'm all right.
There you go.
But if I'm like distracted on my phone while my kids are starting a fire or something, then like, yeah, dude, she'll be like, "What are you doing?
Wake up!
What are you doing, dude?" That's the one. That's where it finally gets. Like, she'll say something and I'll say something back, and she'll go, "Are you high?" And I'm like, "God damn it!"
I get that too from Mrs. Weedman. So
yeah,
do you feel it's about the stigma though that most people that smoke versus somebody that you're dating or living with or married to, do you think it's more about the stigma or not about the stigma? You think it's just because they're unknowledgeable, or they just think, look, he's smoking?
Right.
More so effects, I think. I think if it doesn't, now that it's becoming more accepting, I think if it affects you weird, you don't do it. But the stigma has really gone down
Because of legalization.
Yes, definitely.
And people are learning more and more.
Yes.
Now,
it's
if we
not
get it,
as scary. It's not the devil's lettuce like it was once portrayed as.
It says it on my wall over there. The devil's lettuce. I like smoking the devil's lettuce.
Oh, yeah.
I smoke it a lot.
I've sold my soul.
You know? Yeah, I don't think it's about the stink ball all the time. I think people need to be educated about it. Do you believe, Mr. G over here said it the best. Communication with Mrs. G about it.
Yeah, if I'm fucking up, she'll tell me.
Yeah, I think that's great. That's a great relationship that you guys have that, togetherness to where you can, she doesn't, you do, but she understands it, and she can whack you in the back of the head and say, wake the fuck up, and hey, you're doing a good fucking job.
Just thinking about what to say in this long text message. I don't even remember who I'm sending to anymore.
I'm sure I know I've done it too. I'm sure there's compromise with it also. When not to do it.
Well, yeah, she has her moment,
yeah.
Occasional extra glass of wine, and I'm dealing with the situation too. It's don't know the middle of the road till you've seen the other side.
Yeah, there's compromise when to consume and when not to consume. Or when you can do it all the time, and when you can't, shouldn't do it at all. It is what it is. And then you got to learn when to abstain. From it, just like sex, I guess. You're not fucking whatever, but it's just all in this fucking shit. I don't know if I could. I went all day yesterday until I took that 2 milligram fucking pill, and I was driving. We were going for dinner. We were going to IKEA. My daughter little wee girl was flying off to Spain to go for a fucking trip, and maybe I shouldn't smoke right now. I wanted to relax, but but you just know there's times when you shouldn't at all. So and then to me, I do preach about it, but I don't evangelize about it. I preach about the goodness of cannabis and what it can do for you and why we should legalize it, but I'm not on a soapbox out there every day, going, So, know when to talk about it and when not to talk about it, and make sure they're educated about it,
sure.
I think it works. I think if the relationship is a team, it works.
Right.
You proved it, Mr.
Yeah,
G.
you keep your shit together.
Just don't fuck up.
Too much. Yeah. No, that's the rule.
Yeah, know your limit.
Yeah, people out there...
And admit your limit, right?
Yeah.
That's probably a big part of it, is don't be a fucking jerk. Like, don't be egotistical about it. Like, no, I don't... I'm old enough to know, like, myself well enough to know, like, oh, yeah, I'm acting like a fucking... or like I'm puffing. I go into phases from time to time where I'm like, you give me a good stretch of weather, that first stretch of spring, and I'm kind of like, there's some wake and bake situations, and I go into Rastafarian mode, and I get it. If you're gonna if you call me out, I'm totally gonna be like, yeah, I'm sorry, I know. Like,
I'm not. We've talked about this. Yeah, I'm not a wake and baker. A lot of people know me. I'm not a wake and baker. I'm more of like later in the day, or if not, I'm in the evening. I'll smoke from like after dinner until I go to bed. That's when my favorite.
Yeah, that's my normal.
I know people that can't get up without it. It just helps them move. Great. I know how many people that fucking smoke cigarettes as soon as they wake up in the morning.
Oh, dude, first thing.
There's people that go up and have a beer first thing in the morning. Whatever. It doesn't matter. I'm not here to judge. It's your fucking choice. But just remember, when you're with somebody, though, it's a team effort. If you're married to them, or if you're living with them, or if you're just starting to date somebody, it's a team thing. You got to talk about it. You got to explain it. If they don't like it, they don't care if you do it, and they don't want you to do it around them, then be respectful. That's the way I look at it. Just respect and be kind to everybody about it. Whoever, even if it's a friend that doesn't really know about it, doesn't like it. Has to be somebody you're dating or living with or married to. It could be just a friend who doesn't understand it and doesn't like it. Just be respectful. Be kind to one another. That's how I live my life. I be kind to everybody, be nice to everybody, and say please and thank you, and you live a fucking great life. And you get to smoke cannabis. Fucking great. Hey, you guys like honey?
Love it.
Love it? You know where honey comes from, right? It comes from those beautiful bees that fly around now. The stoners coming out of the burners coming out of me. I'm reflecting right now on the bees. But bees are in trouble. They say because of the environment, they say whatever. I love watching animal shows. You guys all know that. I especially at night when I'm on a good indica, and I'll throw on an animal show like Planet or Blue Sea or whatever the fuck they're called.
Anything David Attenborough.
Oh, fucking great. It's great. Thank you for telling me his name, because I always forget his name. I know it shows it, at the.
Well, he does them all. He's the Morgan Freeman.
But actually, there's a new one I just fucking watched, and it was I forgot her name. It was called Night Planet. It was all about like nighttime animal hunting and stuff like that. It was pretty dope. And it was a black woman. And she's an actress, and I forgot her fucking name. And her voice is fucking awesome. Anyway,
I can't wait.
But watching all these shows, watching about the bees and learning about the environment and stuff because of all these shows. But they're saying that what's kind of dope is bees absolutely love cannabis, and it could help restore their population. That's pretty fucking cool. I think it's awesome, especially all the hemp too we're growing, and all these farmers are growing too. They're saying that new research out of Cornell University that's been published in environmental. I can't pronounce that word because I'm baked. It's all right. Shows that humans aren't the only fans of cannabis. The recent findings also complement a study published last year at the Colorado State University. It discovered the same thing, that bees love cannabis. Hey. The recent legalization of the hemp in the United States seems to be having a very positive effect on multiple bee populations. Hell yeah! That's fucking dope. That's exciting. It's good news.
Yeah, we need them. We need bees, for sure.
Without bees, we might as well just call this planet goodbye. Bees provide essential pollination services in both natural and agricultural systems. Both wild and managed bees have been adversely impacted by numerous carriers of large scale. And okay, I'm too big to read all this, but you guys understand. Grow some hemp, grow some cannabis. Bees like it. Imagine that they go to these plants, these beautiful flowers, and they take all the terpenoids and terpenes and trichomes, and they suck all that beautiful liquid, and they bring it back to their hive, and they put that into little combs, and they make honey out of that stuff. And now you already have a 32% fucking.
Yeah, I was gonna say, dude, there's like a craft honey industry that is ready for this.
Ready?
Are you serious?
Ready?
I'll buy that at the farmer's market.
Why not cross pollinate? You just grow your own in your own. You have one beehive. You grow 5 plants outdoors. You have those bees cross-pollinate your plants. They go back to the hive. They take that good fucking lovely trichome juice, the terpenoid juice, and they bring it to their fucking honeycomb.
Well, dude, just if you have an outdoor or even maybe an indoor, I don't know, can you raise bees indoors in a big?
Actually, you probably can raise them outside and put a little tube leading to
that whole thing. Yeah, like when you go to the Little Red Schoolhouse.
Yes, thank you. Yes, that's what I'm talking about right there.
Oh, what I'm saying is because now you can go get honey that's like a certain wildflower. It'll be like hibiscus honey or da-da-da. So why not just, if you're an outdoor grower, have beehives, and it's done. It's a done deal.
And if it truly works,
right,
where you're getting some THC in that honey. Here's the catch-22 though, because it'd be dope if you could do that.
Right?
Could you sell it at a farmer's market?
No. Well, I'm not even saying THC. I'm saying could you just like some kind of terpene situation?
Well, you get the flavors, the terpene flavors. Yeah. Because if you're going fucking Katsu Bubba Kush by Cresco over there on my Wall of Fame, and it takes that, or let's say one of our favorites on the Wall of Fame, the pink grapefruit by Cresco, or the fucking Huckleberry by Revolution, and it all got berry flavors in it, and they're taking that terpene profile from that cannabis and bringing it over to their hive, and you're just getting that flavor with no THC in it. Dude, you got a whole fucking perspective, man. That's farmer's market fucking.
So I feel like that table at the farmer's market is empty immediately.
Oh yeah,
like
dude,
people would be way into that.
Also people who bake would love to get terpene flavored honey. Now you could probably add terpenes to honey on your own, but having
who's gonna do that?
Right, by having it done by bees though would be fucking off the fucking chain. Off the fucking chain. I like to see that. I mean, it's saying that hemp is high in pollen, producing crop flowering during the period of floral resources scarcity, and supporters of diverse areas of bees in the northeastern U.S. landscape. The rapid expansion of hemp production in the United States may have significant implications for an ecosystem wide pollination dynamics. The potential for hemp to serve as a floral resource for bees is influenced by landscape composition, the height of the hemp plants, and the temporal factors. Growers, extension agents, and policymakers. Great. That's from Carshaw back in 2019. So just stay away from insecticides and pesticides and herbicides when you're growing your cannabis, because that does have an effect on the bee population. Just grow it naturally and watch those bees pollinate your fucking hemp for you, and watch that shit grow. Anyway, how you guys feeling off that fucking bud? We've been smoking that all fucking show.
Lovely, dude.
It's pretty nice, man. I'll give that apple rock candy fucking 2 bongs up on that one.
Yep.
Hey, Mr. G, I've known you now for some time now. You and I have been friends, and you've played some music. Why don't you give us a little history and background about your band and what kind of music you play and what you're into, and then I got a couple other questions to ask you since you are a special guest today.
Sure, dude. I have a few bands, and I also perform solo. So there's like a couple different branches of the tree on that. The band that you've seen perform the most, or maybe exclusively, is Grit and the Double Knit. I describe us as a cabaret blues band. We started out as a backing band for burlesque dancers.
I've seen that show. It's pretty fucking awesome.
Yeah, we had a couple year running show in Pilsen, and we ran for a couple years at the fancy Virgin Hotel downtown Chicago.
Nice.
Yeah. And that was really fun. So that informed some of the music. Cabaret style, that it's got an old feel, but the lyrics are still kind of modern. You know, I mean, not modern. You know what I mean? I'm not like writing old Torch songs and whatever. And yeah, it was sort of built to have a certain groove that worked for burlesque.
I've seen those shows. They're pretty dope.
They were really good. Yeah, that particular group, we lost the gig at one point. And haven't worked together much since. That sort of just fell apart. So we're still a band. The band's super fun. We're like on the Radiohead schedule of recording music, which is like every 6-7 years we'll put something out, you know. So we put out, I think in 2015, we put out a 7-inch single. And I think we're going to try to finish the album this year. It's just really expensive and...
Can you get it on any music platforms?
Oh,
like
for
Spotify
sure. If you look up Grit and the Double Knit, Spotify, any of the streaming platforms, it's on Google Play, if that still exists. It's on Amazon Prime.
If you like dirty, rotten, good, fucking, just dirty, sexy music, fucking Mr. G's music's it.
Yeah, thank you, buddy. A lot of people compare us to like later era Tom Waits, stuff like that, where it's just kind of grumpy, minor key blues music, blues and soul-ish kind of stuff.
I love it.
Yeah, really fun stuff. We play monthly. It's a really kind of cool little dive bar gig. The Taylor Street Tap.
Yeah, I love that bar.
Which is on Taylor and Loomis. Yeah. Fourth Fridays, and that's a really fun one because we keep it pretty loose for that. Definitely feed off the crowd. Crowd feeds off us. If there is a crowd, sometimes it's good. But yeah, it's a chill gig. Just a kind of simple, good old bar band gig. We're all dads and shit now, so.
And like I said, we've known each other for a while now, and I know you smoke really good cannabis.
Indeed.
Do you feel it helps you write, sing, get you on stage? What is the overall why you use cannabis as a musician, and and we'll talk more about history and stuff like that, but why do you use cannabis as a musician?
It's multifaceted. I think you could boil the whole thing down to it somewhat helps you get out of your own way. I think that's sort of one of the main keys to creativity is that it exists. Creativity is already there. It's usually some function of your ego trying to protect yourself, that you're not just always letting loose all the goofy shit that's happening in your head, you know, all the super creative stuff. I work a lot to shut down that, you know, the judgmental, shitty part of your brain that tells you not to put yourself out there and do stuff. Because it's, you know, mine's pretty loud. I'm sure everyone else, that's just the thing. We squash that shit a little bit in our normal society. So it works for almost all aspects. And it's not super ritualized, but with writing, you have to get out of your own way to let things come out and not judge them right away and go like, this is stupid and not right. With being on stage, it sometimes helps you get out of your own head, connect with the audience, connect with your instrument, something different than just wondering what everyone else is thinking, which I think is probably everyone's default. You know, people have a hard time public speaking because they're like, everyone's looking at me. So like you have to find a way past that.
So the old saying that everyone always says when you were going to speak in a public setting and look at everybody in their underwear, so that doesn't work. It did for me. I mean, imagine everybody's in their underwear.
More fun than doing that, or do both. Smoke weed and picture everyone in your underwear. No, I mean a lot of times, you know, a couple drinks helps too. It's altering your consciousness a little bit, kind of just monkey wrenching the system to break up the pattern.
Is that a musician kind of? Is that just you, or you think most musicians are like that, and writers of music are like that, or entertainers are like that? They feel cannabis will help them, maybe with anxiety. Some people might have struggle with anxiety.
Yeah, not everyone does. I mean, back when I was when I was young, you know, I started playing out in the world and then playing in bands and dealing with other musicians in like my late teens, early 20s. And everybody, that's what you did. You smoked weed. Like, we wouldn't hire guys that didn't, you know. It was just kind of like, you were in or out, man. We were, like, playing in jam bands and all that shit. Now it seems obviously a lot of musicians do.
Musicians are just lighting up right on stage.
Right.
I've been to a lot of hip-hop shows. You know, you see Snoop and you see Cypress Hill and you see all these guys, Wu-Tang, they'll light up right on stage. But bands, musicians with, you know, guitars, you know, different in the rap culture versus the rock and roll culture, or the blues might have been a little bit different. Jazz might have been a little bit different. They might have lit up on stage. You know, rap, hip hop.
They're all about it.
They're all about it.
And probably the hardest thing to do is remember words and breathe when you're high. You know what I mean? And so those dudes are, that's a different thing, because that's your job. You have to breathe right and remember the words.
Do you smoke before, after, during, or all three?
It depends. Like I said, there's no necessary ritual to it. Like, it's just more like, you know, a lot of times, a little rip beforehand just to kind of get you in the groove.
Musicians and artists that smoke before and
sometimes,
after, but I never see them smoke during. And is that because this is the stigma of them going on stage lighting a joint? You might have a 12-year-old in the fucking, you know, in
that would be.
But at a hip hop concert, they don't give a fuck,
right?
If
and
there's
that's
a 12-year-old out there or a 100-year-old out.
No, they don't care at all. They don't care.
So
there's cops everywhere.
They don't give a fuck. So what I'm trying to say is, why is it still that stigma that the white musicians or the Mexican or the Hispanic musicians are afraid to? Is it more fear, or is it more just because of their audience and what will get written about them in magazines or on the law? And now we have fucking social media and shit. I'm just asking. I don't know. I'm not a musician. I've worked with many. I've worked in many nightclubs and bars and met many of them. Smoked with them before the show. Smoked with them after. Maybe jumped on stage and handed them a joint, but they didn't light it.
Right.
And I've done that before.
Sorry, go ahead.
When I was in Denver, there were many times where I'd be at the club and I've given a DJ that I knew smoked a joint, and they were very receptive of it. Some of them lit it up in there, some of them saved it.
The DJ, though.
DJ, yes.
Right.
Same as a hip-hop artist, kind of.
Right.
They don't give a fuck.
Yes.
I'm asking...
I'm
still trying to understand.
Live music. Yeah.
Yes. I mean, it's all live music, but I've seen a lot of music in my life.
Plays a big part.
You know,
Venue plays a huge part.
What does? Say it again?
Venue.
Yeah.
Venue.
They ain't gonna stop the fucking show. Come on.
Usually not, no. But I feel like it just exists in hip hop mostly. I cannot picture a situation outside of that where it would be cool to light one for sure. Like, I think that would be a pretty tough move to try to pull off on stage anywhere in my world. And I'm even thinking about, like, I play in a traditional, a lot of honky tonk, a lot of stuff like that. I think in the right situation, if somebody passed a lit joint onto the stage and you were, like, into it and the crowd was with you, you weren't just playing like a street fest where half the people are in line for a corn dog kind of looking at you over their shoulder. Like, you're playing a show, the crowd's into it, they're there to see you, someone passes you a lit joint, maybe.
Plus, you're a bit more preoccupied playing, like, live instruments, whereas hip-hop and DJing, you have your hands are a bit
you got
more
a minute.
free.
Yeah, you got a second.
The music is kind of the background track is playing, and you're kind of just rapping over it, so...
And I think it's just part of the bravado of hip-hop
But they
too.
smoke cigarettes on stage and they drink beer on stage or an alcoholic drink on stage. So what's the difference?
That's a good point, dude. Is that okay? So you're
Alcohol
saying maybe
is
more
big.
in the scene that like instead of doing what I literally do between every song on stage, if I have a beer behind me, is I turn around and I take a little sip of my beer, you know, and I'm like, hey, thanks guys, you know.
Right.
What if that was a? I mean, yeah, you start removing stigmas and shit like that.
Right.
Then yeah.
Get rid of the fucking stick.
Right, take a little rip off a hash pen.
Right.
Which I've done at board gigs just to like get away with it and be like, I fucking this gig sucks. No one's paying attention. Watch this, you know, and take
See
a
if
little
you get a rise out of it.
take a little pen rip and like blow it into your shirt, and then you're just like, it's a little better, you know.
I mean, you and I have talked. You know history of music, and you and I were talking about. You knew some history of cannabis in music. We've talked about
For
this
sure.
on our Reefer Madness episode. We talked about the history of jazz musicians coming when they came in the 1900s, and you know, in the early 1900s, smoking. A lot of their songs were referenced to reefer, and they
For
called
sure.
it reefer back then. Now, though, give me some history that maybe our listeners don't know yet. Maybe like outside the 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50s, you go into the 60s now, because the 50s, Elvis Presley wasn't smoking cannabis.
Right.
There was maybe some
don't know.
who fucking Johnny Be Good. Who sings the song Johnny Be Good?
Oh my God, I had it in my head until you pointed at me, and then it went away.
Okay.
Chuck Berry.
Chuck
Jesus
Berry,
Christ!
thank you.
I just
Fucking
left. I
phenomenal
was in
guitarist.
Memphis 5 days ago.
There you go. His big was the 50s, early 60s. He was big. I don't know if he smoked cannabis or not. I think I mentioned it if he did, but he was more into. He wasn't even a drinker. He was in the cars and women.
Yeah.
You know, so he had his things that he liked, but the 50s was an era that I don't know. I think it was really hitting because it became illegal to have cannabis and be known for having cannabis. And you know, when all those laws started coming in the 50s, where it was like everybody was straight edge, they didn't want to fucking get caught drinking, you know, kind of thing. Everybody hit everything, you know. You go into the 60s though, mid 65, 66, maybe even 64, because Berkeley, but from 64 to 70. People were fucking smoking weed.
But,
like
oh my
mad.
God, majorly.
I mean,
yeah.
fucking mad. I
Right.
mean, going nuts. I mean, it could have even been earlier than that, but when it was more fucking shown, that's when you saw the Grateful Dead smoking cannabis. Well, they were fucking taking LSD. So
They were
didn't give a
doing
fuck about
nitrous
it.
on
right.
stage.
They didn't give a
Yeah.
fuck. So the 60s showed, going into some history, the 60s showed fucking guys and gals and artists didn't give a fuck. They were going to do what they wanted on stage because it was their freedom and their right to choose. Bam, 1972 hits. Height of Vietnam War, motherfuckers coming back, hooked on heroin, hooked on fucking. They thought cannabis was fucking part of that too. Cannabis was what kept those guys from killing themselves. Heroin was what got them in the shitter. So, because fucking, you know, so basically you got 72 Jimmy fucking going all the way up to like the mid 80s until cocaine became a fucking highlight. Everybody wanted to do cocaine, but that era there, cannabis and fucking all drugs were fucking like the 50s. You fucking don't touch that shit. You get shit, your hands chopped off, basically. You know, and then the 80s came and everybody wanted to do cocaine because it was fun, it was fancy, and it was free, somewhat. You know, but you go into the 90s and went underground again, though. Everybody was designer drugging it up and then going in and smoking cannabis underground. No one was talking about it that much. It was my generation, your generation. I'm a Generation Xer. I was smoking fucking weed right through high school all the way through, and I loved it because I didn't like to drink. I hardly drank at all. I was, you know. So it went underground again. Now we're in fucking 2000s to 2020. Let's say 2010 to 20. You see it where it's like now it's getting popular and the stigma's starting to go away with musicians, but you still see people that smoke it. You know they smoke it off stage, but still afraid to say it on stage. Besides hip hop artists,
for sure. Yeah.
It's still because is it numbers? Is it fucking money? Is it sponsorship dollars? Is it be able to go on tour?
Yeah.
Whatever. But why is the hip hop artist like, fuck you? I love those guys. I'm glad they tell the fucking everybody shut the fuck up. I'm gonna do what I want.
Part of their culture too.
For sure.
Yeah, I think it's just hip hop and weed go hand in hand.
And there's, I mean, dude, you talked about, because I'm more, I mean, obviously there's been cannabis in music all along, even in the 50s, because you had the beats, you know, the beatniks started coming out, and that led to psychedelics, and they were doing a lot of speed, and they were smoking weed too. So that was probably in the jazz world in the 50s. But I know a lot more about all that stuff you're talking about, the 20s and 30s. And that's where a ton of the music I play and am most influenced by comes from. And there's such a racial element to that. I mean, just undeniably, like the way the laws work, the way the people who did it and all that, it was sort of always a black thing back then. So I think it's literally the weeds come up in American culture in probably several, but definitely two different ways. There's the way white people dealt with it and the way that black people dealt with it, or maybe even just minorities altogether, because the laws and the rules were always different. So I feel like white people no, that's weird. It's like as far as hip hop versus other culture, it's more of a black medium, right? It's going to maybe, I guess, have a different approach to cannabis because it's been different for them the whole time.
You have artists now, rap hip hop artists now, creating their own brands of cannabis, and
Completely.
You know, it's huge on the West Coast. It's huge right now. I mean, Wiz Khalifa,
The
Game,
Snoop
Dogg. What's his name? Who sings a Mill? Lil Wayne just came out with his own strain. So I mean, now there's, I would say, other artists, white artists, that are probably maybe doing it more underground and investing in it, but not putting their name to it. But they are probably taking 20, 30 mil.
Oh,
saying,
for sure.
Hell yeah.
But
they're hiding it, which I think is total. I don't really know too many white artists that are promoting if they have a brand, they'll do probably CBD because it's looked at more of
totally
a soccer mom kind of use. I use CBD for my back, you know.
Right.
So
right.
But seriously though, it's if you look at it, if they do it, they're doing it underground. If it became, I wonder though. Here's my thing, and we're gonna end on this little thought of the day. If it becomes federally legal, will white artists be more prone to put their name out to it then?
I don't know. Is it too far gone? And you know what I mean?
Is it not trendy and cool anymore?
That could be too.
You know.
And just yeah. No, it's super interesting to me. Like the ways that like I haven't really thought too much about that point at all. But it's still, that's the crazy part. It's still there, that racial aspect. Yeah,
it's huge. It's something for all you listeners and burners to think about. We really appreciate you guys. And I want to say thank you to Mr. G over here for coming out. Hopefully he'll come back again.
Yes, sir, brother.
And JKush over there. His first podcast, not listening, but his first time ever being on a podcast. I think he did a fine job, Mr. JKush. Thanks for coming out and smoking some out of the Rick and Morty bong. But don't forget to... listen to our podcast on Spotify, on Apple Play. Give us an email, weedman420chronicles@gmail.com. Listen to or take a look at our Instagram at weedman420chronicles, and then we also have our Twitter at weedman420pod. And then also, once again, shout outs to everybody who is listening to us across the globe. It does my heart good. Got some DMs on Instagram. A kid from North Carolina was saying he really liked to chill and listen to our podcast while he smoked, and he's learning a lot. Keep those DMs coming. Keep those emails coming. It does me, WeedMan, and Dov Boy, and T, the tech. You know, those guys will be around and helping me out still, but got some new guests coming on, and we're going to have some fun doing this. And, you know, I just want to say once again, thanks. Mr. G, got anything to say?
Thanks for having me, man. And thank you.
JKush?
Burn on.
There you go.
I love it. As Paulie says, smoke smart, puff puffing away.